guys? It is Wednesday here, and it is our daily 12 p.m. hail forecast here at Hail Trace. We have a whole bunch to talk about today. Quite a few storms last night. I mean, mostly hitting cows, but we had some storms there. And obviously, we have a lot to talk about for today and going into tomorrow as well. I see a ton of comments coming in. I'm going to kind of go through my whole show, and then I'll answer questions after the fact. I think Frank and I think Derek's on the phone. I think Frank at least is in here, and he can try to answer any questions you guys have if I don't get a chance to get to them. So I'll just jump right in right now. Make sure you have your notifications turned on for any sort of events that happen today, whether or not we do live coverage, if major metro areas are hit, or just when we send out golf ball size hail or larger text messages, and obviously when maps are starting to be made or when they're available for purchase. Make sure you have that all turned on, whether through your phone, through your email, or through your desktop computer. And of course, you can select the regions, cities, states, or whole country for wanting to be notified for. So before we get into today, I'm talking about yesterday. Yesterday we had quite a bit of activity. Justin's comments about baseballs are in the way here a little bit for showing all the storms that we had, mostly through Kansas and Nebraska yesterday. A lot of rural stuff getting hit. However, we did have a couple storms in Iowa. Hit Ames, Iowa a little bit with upwards of a ping pong ball size hail. Some smaller towns in northwestern sections of Iowa as well. And a scattering of towns across Nebraska got hit. And there was one storm even in Colorado yesterday that had upwards of ping pong ball size hail. Very, very large hail actually fell in Nebraska and Kansas yesterday. We did make a 3-star map in Hastings, Octavia, North Bend, Nebraska. Hail up to 4 inches there, and about 18,595 homes were impacted with that large hail, and it's looking like we had quite a bit. This is all from Nebraska. This one is this picture here, again, with all the crazy little emoji comments you guys got going on. And this one over here, both came from Hastings, so there's some decent hail in that area. And this one was another smaller town in northeastern Nebraska. Some very large hail in some small towns in that area. Now, that was yesterday. Now we're jumping over to today. I'm going to get out of the way here and show you guys this is what we're looking at for today as all the numbers come up on the screen. And anytime after 2 o'clock today, storms are expected to begin. All right, you know what? I'm gonna take a second here. I'm gonna kill the comments on the actual video screen because you guys are real. There we go. You guys are real talkative and real picture heavy today. So I'm just gonna make it so you guys can actually see what's going on. Again, I'll look at my phones after the fact and answer any questions you may have that Frank may not get a chance to answer. Again, I know a lot of you guys are on here and asking a lot of questions today, so a lot going on. So this is what we're looking at for today. We have a handful of different areas that we're going to talk about. I'll start kind of probably in the Chicago area and work my way south. So first things first, we have a risk up in the Great Lakes region. Some storms are expected probably to form across southern Iowa and into Illinois after about 4 o'clock this afternoon, I'd say. And there will be clusters of storms, probably not a big tornado threat, but I think there will be some hail upwards of golf ball size. The organization of the storms may be a little messy with them being more clustery than supercells, so I think that's going to keep the hail sizes down around golf ball size. I think they're going to move towards the Chicago area around dinner time, around rush hour, 5, 6 o'clock, and we'll just kind of see, if they can actually hit Chicago. Again, Chicago is a very large metro, much like Dallas, so a 10% chance. That's anywhere in the Chicago area from the southernmost counties of Wisconsin, just south of Milwaukee, down through probably near Indiana, like places like Gary, Indiana, for example. So I have 10% there, 10% a little bit further south towards, one of these central Illinois towns, cities that I can't think of, around Peoria, Springfield, that area. I don't remember which one is where, but if you guys in Illinois, you guys know where I'm talking about. Basically the whole northern half of Illinois. And these storms are going to be after about 4 o'clock, moving through maybe about 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight. And max size, I'm thinking golf balls, and if one storm manages to be a supercell and get its act together, then larger than that is possible. Nebraska and Iowa, Des Moines and Omaha, I both have at 2%. I think most of the storms are going to form to your south, far southeastern Nebraska, southern Iowa, again around the same time frame. Moving a little further to the south and to the west is where the big time hail is most likely going to be. I have upwards of 3.5 inch, possibly up towards softball size hail is possible in the strongest storms that form this afternoon, anytime after 2. So anything along the dry line could fire very early for at least dry line storm standpoints, where sometimes they fire at 6, 7 o'clock. I think it's going to be 2, 3 o'clock. They're going to fire very close to the Texas-Oklahoma border, and then further north into central Kansas. Now, I think a big thing with Kansas is a lot of the storms are going to be more clusters and possibly getting really disorganized and turning into a line that may be more of a wind producer faster than places further south. But I have a 25% chance for Wichita. I think Wichita is your best bet for really big hail today. I think they're going to be far enough to the south where the cluster will have the tail and Charlie moving close by them, and the storms will be forming a little closer to them than, say, in Oklahoma City. So 25%, that's getting upwards of towards the 3.5-inch hail. Really comes down to how isolated the storms can stay. There's a lot of uncertainty with today, which is why my percentages aren't going up to the really high numbers. It really comes down to, is it going to be wind, or is it going to be more isolated storms, or is the tail and Charlie going to move through? And that's what brings Kansas City. I have a 20% chance. Hail sizes a little lower. I think there will for sure be storms in Kansas City today. I think getting some quarter-size hail is fairly likely, as storms will move through this evening, probably around 5, 6, 7 o'clock. I think the big question for Kansas City, however, is it just going to be a big bow of storms? If it's a bowing line of storms moving towards Kansas City, the hail risk is going to be a lot lower. That's why I'm saying up to golf ball size, but we've had this happen in the past. You have a supercell embedded within the bow, and that can have some large hail. So I'm saying upwards of golf ball to 2-inch size hail as your maximum, but things may change, and we can obviously up those numbers if, say, it's more isolated, storms will form a little closer to Kansas City, or we have a little embedded supercell come in at the right time. So that's why we're at 20% right now. Moving further down the dry line to Oklahoma, I know a lot of you guys care about Oklahoma, asking about Oklahoma City. I know a lot of the media across Oklahoma City today has been hyping this up for days. I know we've been talking about it for over a week now. I think the big problem with Oklahoma City is storms are going to be forming very far to the west. Dry line isn't going to make a whole lot of a journey close to Oklahoma City. Things actually surprisingly are very moist, very favorable for development. However, the dry line is way the hell to the west, and that kind of makes it a little harder for storms to make it all the way to Oklahoma City before they are a more of a clustery line mess that isn't large hail producing. Now, there is a chance that Oklahoma City manages to thread the needle. You get a big-time storm form in southwest Oklahoma and move through Oklahoma City and drop like a tornado and more for the millionth time. It's always possible. It happens. But I'm keeping it down at 10%. I think if you guys watched Derek a little bit earlier, he was talking about like 20-something% for at least quarter-size hail. I tend to agree with that. I put my numbers like this because I know when you guys see like the purples and oranges, you go, oh, they're saying there's like a 30% chance of seeing golf balls today. Really, it's 10%. It's a percentage chance of at least quarters. So I'm saying 10%. Again, probably a 1 in 4 chance you're going to see some quarters somewhere in the Oklahoma City metro today. But much smaller chance, like the baseball size hail, I'd say like a 2 to 5% chance. It's pretty low. It's really going to come down to, can we get just the storms to stay discrete for long enough to move through? And they would be moving through between 7 and 10 p.m. across the Oklahoma City area. Further south than that into Texas here, this area I think is going to most likely have storms form much later, probably after 8 o'clock tonight. These will be probably big hail producers, especially down closer towards Mexico. However, not only is it a fairly isolated area, fairly sparsely populated area, but I think the storms might be fairly isolated in nature, hence the only 2% chance for Abilene, Texas. Probably closer, any storms that form along here could have that up to 3.5-inch, 4-inch hail possible as well. Again, anywhere in the purple, really. So a lot to watch today. There will be a lot going on. We'll be here all day. And finally, of course, we do have another chance in northeastern Colorado, kind of similar to how yesterday was. Probably sometime after 3, 4 o'clock. Some storm or two could drop some quarter, $half size hail, maybe a ping pong ball or two mixed in. Almost the exact same area at risk, same exact setup. So that's what we're looking at across the country today. Again, a lot going on. We'll be here all day, and most likely going into this evening, there will probably be, if anything is imminently heading towards, say, Wichita or possibly even Oklahoma City, Kansas City, etc., I'll be here to do live continuing coverage. We didn't do any live coverage yesterday, mostly due to the fact that Frank and Derek were also chasing, so it was just me and Heather here at the office. So I had to do a lot more mapping than usual. So I limited going on the air if only a major city was hit. And just how expansive the risk area is today, that may be the same strategy we use again today. And hopefully I do go live, because that means Derek might have to wear his green pants tomorrow because we could get a 5-star map. So that potential is there. Again, the storms are much more likely to be where there's people today. Of course, some of the biggest hail might be over cow pastures again. So we'll just kind of have to see how things pan out. Take a time now. I'm going to check, see what any questions you guys have before I look into tomorrow and then possibly a little bit into Friday. Oh, geez. Got a whole bunch. John, is that shirt from the Richard Simmons collection? That's funny. Did you shave today, John? No, I did not shave. Okay. So let's see. Thumbing through here, a lot of pictures. St. Louis, Missouri, not today. My fly's open? Nah, it's not open. The top button is unbuttoned, guys. Come on. Going through it. Is that an iPhone watch? Yes, this is an Apple Watch. Oh my god. Everyone going out by everything. Guys. Alright. Let's see, cloudy and sprinkling in Kansas City, that tamper the severity? No, it does not really. This is more of a synoptic, a large scale event versus just little stuff. Alright. Alright, going through. Somebody asking, as usual, about Fort Worth. And with that, I'm going to, seeing how I've gone through the comments here, I'm going to jump over to tomorrow now. Someone's asking about Fort Worth. Well, here we go. This is our preliminary forecast for Thursday. I think my pinpoint area is going to be the Kansas City area. I think Kansas City has a pretty good shot at seeing some good storms tomorrow, upwards of baseball size. But all along the dry line, Tulsa could see something tomorrow. Oklahoma City could get another shot tomorrow. And then Dallas gets into play tomorrow. A lot of uncertainty for tomorrow. There's quite a bit of uncertainty today. And there's going to be even more uncertainty heading into tomorrow because it really comes down to what happens today and into the overnight hours tonight. Some models are still showing some overnight activity that would overturn the atmosphere too much, stabilize it too much for big-time storms tomorrow. But the dry line will be close to I-35, so we're going to have to watch that very carefully from places in Oklahoma-Kansas border point south. I have to see how that pans out. We'll have a much better idea going into tomorrow. Right now, just kind of hedging the bets, saying close to golf ball size hail as possible. That extends even into southwestern Missouri and into northwestern Arkansas. But like Omaha, Kansas City, and then points a little further to the east in here, I think they have the best shot at seeing some very large hail tomorrow. And even going into the Chicago area, further east towards Detroit, possibly even towards Buffalo, New York even, there could be some storms tomorrow that have some large hail. Again, we'll have another forecast tomorrow at noon like we do every single day. And that'll really go more into detail about what we're going to be seeing for tomorrow. And we'll obviously go over anything that happened today. Finally, looking ahead, the last area of concern we have, way down at the bottom of my screen here on Friday, there could be some storms, Waco, Austin, San Antonio, down that way possible for Friday. Hail size, a little uncertain right now, but at least we have an area of concern that we're looking at that we'll have the preliminary forecast for tomorrow. And beyond that, things kind of get quiet. It looks like this weekend's going to be fairly inactive. And then probably a few days where we're not going to see a whole bunch of activity before the next system reloads and comes in, probably getting closer to the following weekend, around like 10th, 11th of May or so. Top button. So my top button is not buttoned, man. Top button's unbuttoned. Come on, guys. All right. With that, I'm going to show you guys just one of the model runs real quick, just to kind of, again, give you a visual for what we were talking about for just specifically today. Get on, let's see if we have this latest run of the HRRR. It's taken its sweet time coming in so far today. So we'll see what we're showing here. This one's a little wonky. You see here there's nothing on the screen, for example. So take it with a grain of salt, but it shows, again, around 3, 4 o'clock, storms forming, southwestern Oklahoma, and then, oh, geez, God, this thing's a piece of junk. Coming general direction towards Oklahoma City. You can see they're fairly isolated around 6 o'clock. So we're going to kind of see if they stay isolated, they stay going, we could make it towards Oklahoma City, but you know, that's a big if. Further north, you see the storms, the clusters heading towards Wichita, but since they're on the southern end of it, it looks like there is that chance that they could actually see some hail versus just wind. And as of this specific run, it has quite a bit of activity heading towards the Kansas City area, but the big problem with that, of course, could be minimized hail threat. If it was this exact setup, it probably would be fairly lower chances of large hail. And can't discount the storms out here in eastern Colorado either. Going to also move over towards the Midwest, show the Chicago area. The other area that we're watching for today, love wonky. All right, so, and yeah, again, some weird stuff. But you see isolated storms. I think storms are going to be much more isolated, even though they're going to be kind of clustered. They'll be more isolated across Illinois and into Iowa. And you can see storms moving through the Chicago area and northern half of the Illinois area. Again, I'm trying to work with me here with this model being a piece of junk. I'll just show, you know what? Oh, you know what? Can I just jump to the next run? No, I can't. All right. I'll show the run from a couple hours ago that at least loaded all the way properly. And you can see, again, the same basic idea. This one is a little more clustered. I think there will be more isolation than what the models are showing right now. They tend to have a bias towards more lined clusters of storms. So, again, just showing the area, show storms form, and then they get towards Oklahoma City, and we'll see. Again, we'll have to kind of see how things pan out. So that's what we're looking at for today. Hope you guys, if you have any other further questions, feel free to shoot them in the comments section below. If there are questions that are not necessarily just about what I'm wearing today, and we'll be happy to answer them for you guys. Follow us on Facebook if it's your first time here. It looks like we had quite a bit of viewers here today. So if it's your first rodeo here on our daily hail forecast here at Hail Trace, go ahead and follow and hit see first, and that way you don't miss any of our live updates. Even if you have those notifications set up, you just happen to miss them, they pop up right at the top of your news feed when you go onto Facebook. And any further questions you may have about Hail Trace in general, give us a call at the number here on the screen, 855-334-4245. Email us, info@hailtrace.com. And, of course, you can always find more details on hailtrace.com. And you can message us on there directly as well. That's a thing called Intercom. Lower right-hand corner of your screen, a speech bubble that has a blue outline on it. Click on that, and it'll send out an instant message to everyone on staff, and we will answer questions that you may have, hopefully in a timely manner, depending on how busy we are. Especially helpful on weekends and after hours when you give us a call. We may not answer because we're not at the office. So that's all I got for you guys today. I'll probably be back again later to hopefully do some live coverage of storms moving into some city metros. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday and do those hail dances so I can come back here later on for live continuing coverage, guys. And if I don't, I'll see you guys again tomorrow at 12 p.m. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Thank you.